That, I'd like to introduce you to the team serving Avalon Bay communities.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah DeFazio. I'm studying architecture and engineering at Raritan Valley Community College.
Hi, my name is Arushi Gupta, and I'm majoring in environmental and sustainability studies, as well as pursuing an MBA at Rowan University.
Hello, my name is Stephen Holman. I study sustainability science at King University.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jocelyn Ramos. I'm an uprising junior studying psychology at New Jersey City University.
And I'm Anik Rujediath, and I'm studying environmental engineering at Washington University in St. Louis.
As humans, we're all striving to be the best version of ourselves. We strive to act ethically and fairly. We want to be sustainable and ensure that our future generations come into a clean and safe world. In order to reach these lofty goals, we need a couple things first. How many of you here have heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Raise your hands. A couple, okay, a lot of you. Okay, so in order to reach that topmost stage of self-actualization, where we can act in accordance with our beliefs and be sustainable, we need to meet the needs in the levels of the pyramid below. We need a sense of self-esteem, we need love and belongingness, safety, and we also need at the most basic level, food, water, and shelter. Our project this summer has focused on the connection between housing and sustainability and how our homes can contribute to resolving our climate crisis. The company we worked for is AvalonBay Communities. They are a multifamily REIT, a real estate investment trust that builds apartment complexes across the East and West Coast. They have over 288 locations and are looking to expand. The company has a unique vertical organization structure in which they do all the construction, operations, and management in-house. They have 3 unique brands that you can see across different demographics. They have Avalon, Ava, and Eves. AvalonBay has long been interested in sustainability. They've been publishing ESG reports, environmental, social, and governance reports since 2011. They've invested $1.1 billion in green bonds, and this past summer, they sponsored us, a green team.
In order to assist AvalonBay to become an even greener company, we divided their efforts into 5 categories. The first one, green energy, refers to all the electricity production that doesn't rely on the burning of fossil fuels. The second one, green building, includes embodied carbon, biodiversity, and material health. Water risk looks at locations of possible drought and flooding, and water goals studies water consumption reduction opportunities. And finally, reporting, which looks at multiple environmental documents. And I know that it sounds like a lot, so let's dive right into it. If you live in a single family home, the process of switching to a green energy source can be fairly straightforward. You install some solar panels on your rooftop and you connect it to your electrical grid. But what happens when you live, let's say, in the 2nd floor of an apartment complex? Our job here was to look into 30 different utilities and look for the green programs and green suppliers that would allow residents to purchase green energy directly. We reached out to the utilities to find these opportunities and also see what efforts they were doing in advertising them. Once we had all this data, we needed to find a way where residents would be able to access all this information. So we designed a marketing campaign and also a code for a website. We reviewed the materials with AvalonBay and got their approval. Prior to going into this, we had very little coding experience. So for the last few weeks, we've been learning HTML, CSS, and PHP programming languages to put together this demo that we're super excited to show you guys. Again, this is just a demo. So the materials you're going to see in some of the stats are a representative of what it would show in Avalon's website. This site would allow residents not only to inform about the importance of making the switch, but also with only 2 clicks and by entering their zip code, they'll be able to see all the opportunities that they have to their specific location.
Because we believe that individual actions and efforts are crucial to enacting large-scale change, we've created a marketing proposal aimed at educating and encouraging residents on the ways that they can make greener choices in their everyday lives. After analyzing what other industry leaders as well as our competitors were doing, we've completed a marketing proposal that utilizes various media types. Our digital media includes Instagram posts, which are targeted for our young professional residents who spend a lot of their time online. They're formatted to be engaging and interactive and easy to share within their personal networks. We also promoting a digital newsletter, which will come out monthly and will give residents information on upcoming events to be hosted in the common areas of their apartment buildings. These events will range from family-friendly events that are aimed at engaging kids to more professional speakers. We have also created physical materials for people who prefer the more tactile, personal approach to receiving information. And these flyers will be posted around common areas and handed out to residents as well. Some of them contain QR codes with the URL to take them to our code that we made that will walk them through the steps of switching to a green utility provider. And some just give little information on why what they're doing is important, as well as reminders to turn off the lights and water when you're not using them. We've also created fridge magnets as well as social media posts for our residents who decide to make the switch so that they can brag a little to their family and friends. And since sustainability would not be possible without diversity and inclusion, we are providing translated versions of our materials based on our residents' demographics.
To help AvalonBay set their green building goals, we looked into their direct competitors to see what they were achieving. More specifically, we looked at embodied carbon, which refers to all the greenhouse emissions, due to manufacturing, installation, transportation, and disposal of building materials. We also looked at material health, which involves eliminating or avoiding all toxic chemicals in materials for building, and biophilia, which is the idea that having nature around your environment can improve your mental health. We created this competitor analysis matrix that will allow AvalonBay to look directly into their competitors and see which areas of improvement they have, as well as in which areas they're best in class.
As an organization that provides shelter for individuals, AvalonBay wanted us to look into two water goals. The first being a water risk assessment. This water risk assessment looks at the current and future climate assessments of all of AvalonBay's current locations. In doing so, we compared two water risk assessments, one that they currently have and one that we gathered data from, and put our data on an Excel sheet. Afterwards, we decided to put all this data in an ArcGIS map to make it more visible for our company. Here you'll be able to see the map that we created. In the smaller, lighter color areas, such as Washington, DC, and Maryland, you'll see that they have a lower water risk assessment as of right now. In the larger, darker colors, such as you see in New York and Massachusetts, you'll see that they would have a higher water risk assessment. The second goal would be water consumption reduction, which looks into all of the water consumption that AvalonBay currently produces and how to reduce it. So in doing so, we gather all of AvalonBay's files, bring some ideas on techniques, technologies, and practices on how to cut back on water consumption, and then pitch these ideas to AvalonBay. Here you'll see two of our ideas in play. One of them is green roofing, which is the implementation of greenery on top of a residency, such as a townhouse or apartment that AvalonBay would provide. And the second is blue roofing, which is the implementation of a rainwater retention roof. Here you'll see that it's linked to a drainage system linked to a water storage tank underground, where you could then use it as water irrigation per the example of this photo.
Companies such as AvalonBay, to build trust with their investors and stakeholders, disclose certain information in terms of their sustainable activities. So AvalonBay has tasked us to do a qualitative gap analysis focusing on EU taxonomy, SEC disclosures, and the TNFD framework. EU taxonomy is a classification system that has established a list of environmental, sustainable, economical activities. The SEC is a federal agency that is tasked with regulating the stock market. They also require companies and investors to follow certain criteria when investing or selling shares of their companies. Now, the TNFD is an organization supporting a shift in global financial flows, turning away from nature negative outcomes. So to achieve this deliverable, we first wanted to grasp these relatively new concepts because they each contain a component of sustainability. So in order to do this, we looked at their environmental objectives. So as you guys can see, we use EU taxonomy as a prime example. EU taxonomy's environmental objectives consist of climate change, pollution prevention, biodiversity, and sustainable use and protection of water. Now, again, we use EU taxonomy as another example because AvalonBay falls under the construction and real estate sector. So this is just a more in-depth detail of what EU taxonomy is looking for in companies in terms of ESG reporting. For example, they like to see energy efficient equipment information. Now, our qualitative gap analysis was done in a chart format that focused on 3 categories: the objectives, a more in-depth description of that objective, and where AvalonBay falls in terms of their initiatives and information they have set in place in their ESG report.
Going forward, AvalonBay will need to migrate our code into their own website and server. Also, we encourage AvalonBay to design an app for residents that would allow residents to see their water consumption and electricity consumption each month. And finally, we would like AvalonBay to keep putting efforts into building a strong sustainability team and hosting another green team in the future.
So at the end of the day, we have pages and pages of PDFs and Excel sheets. What's the point? Why did AvalonBay ask us to gather this information? Well, it can be rather daunting to start something new and take the first steps when you don't know that the program or initiative will succeed. So our work this summer is helping AvalonBay more easily implement sustainable initiatives and set standards for the entire housing industry. At the end of the day, we all go home. We all need shelter. We all need a home to go home to. And wouldn't it be great if the home we went to would be able to provide us shelter and give us the opportunity to reduce our environmental crisis?
Now, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge and express our sincere gratitude to our company representatives at AvalonBay and the staff at PSEG ISS. And a big thank you and shout out to our sponsors. Thank you.